Let's begin with diction questions first. In 1585, Captain Ralph Lane and 108 colonists, including the scientist Thomas Harriot, built a small settlement on Roanoke Island off the coast parts of North Carolina. From this base, they explored parts of eastern North Carolina, obtained samples of various metals, and tested them at the site. In less than a year, however, they exhausted their supplies and were forced to return to England. See, this is what I call words in context. Although it's not exactly words in context, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. These are the kind of questions that you get in reading, but now they're part of writing as well. And all you have to do is understand which word fits in over here. So, however, they exhausted their supplies and were forced to return to England. Let's have a look at the option choices. No change. Expended their supplies. Expended is not the right word over here. Expended is basically used in economics. Diluted their supplies. You don't use diluted with supplies. That's wrong. Undermined their supplies. No, basically they were running out of their supplies. So yes, A is the correct answer. So see, I do have some reservation with these kind of questions because this is not related to grammar. This is not related to hardcore expression of ideas. But however, they are part of diction. Let's have a look at another question. This is commonly confused words. For centuries, scientists believed in the existence of planets beyond the solar system but had no way of knowing how common they were or how similar they might be to better known planets. Beginning in the 1900s, many people insisted that they had discovered exoplanets. However, their claims had little effect on the scientific community until 1992, when the first exoplanet was positively identified. You should immediately understand that this is a commonly confused word question. You should be familiar with words like affect versus effect, accept versus accept, elude versus elude, and similar words. Now, over here, you need to understand that you need to memorize these terms. That's something that you should be doing. And you should also understand that over here in this context, we need effect and not affect. Now, how do we know that? There's one thing that I can help you with. Most of these words, I have seen, most of these words basically come from two grammatical categories. Yes, exceptional cases are there, but most of the times they come from two categories. One is a noun, and the other is basically a verb or an adjective as well at times. But most of the times this is the case. And over here, if you understand, we need a noun. Their claims had little effect on the scientific community. Now, effect is the subject of this sentence or this phrase over here. So we need this word. This is our option because definitely we don't need a comma after that. It doesn't make sense. So these are some tricks that you need to remember. Another example, deactivated viruses from the basis of many vaccines known for their effectiveness to prevent disease. As a result, people can be safely injected with genetic material from a virus without becoming ill themselves. To prevent, this is a preposition, you see, plus we have the preposition plus verb. This is an infinitive form. And now, if I ask you, basically, I want you to tell me how to convert this into a gerund. How do you convert this into a gerund? I've already talked about this. So when you have a gerund and you have an infinitive, let's say, how do you convert these? When you want to go to a gerund from infinitive, you basically put a preposition that is in. Please remember this rule. And when you want to go the other way around, when you want to go from a gerund to an infinitive, you put the preposition to. See, to plus verb is basically the opposite of gerund. It's the infinitive form. So if I have to convert this into a gerund, it will be deactivated viruses from the basis of many vaccines known for their effectiveness in preventing disease. A very important and helpful tool that you need to remember. So it should be option choice B. That's how you convert a gerund into an infinitive and vice versa. Another question. Mount Kilimanjaro, like the mountain which is swept in clouds, the name Kilimanjaro is a mystery. It might mean mountain of light, mountain of greatness, or mountain of caravans. Now this word is underlined over here and we have to see whether it fits into the context or not. Now, the first thing I usually tell my students is to identify the topic the question is coming from. That's very important. because when you identify the topic, you can easily apply the rules that you have learned in that topic. Now, this is basically diction and words in context, to be very precise. Okay, now let's see whether it fits into the sentence or not. Now, what's our clue over here? This word is a major clue that we are getting. I really like writing because you keep getting clues here and there. So we need a word that represents mystery, that corresponds to mystery. And swept is not that word. It doesn't identify, or it doesn't tell us that it is mysterious. So option choice A is definitely wrong. Let's have a look at the second option. Surfaced in clouds. Again, it's the opposite of mystery. It's the opposite of hidden. So B is also wrong. So like the mountain which is cloaked in clouds, the name Kilimanjaro is a mystery. Cloaked is something that can fit in, because like when you wear a cloak, it's like you disguise yourself, you're hidden. Let's put a question mark here. It definitely makes sense. Varnished is in clouds. No, this definitely again does not make sense, because it is used for material things like paints and other stuff. So C is definitely the right option. Let's look at the second question. But before that, we need to read the entire paragraph. Locals refer to it simply as Kipu. Not only is Mount Kilimanjaro the highest mountain on the African continent, but at nearly 20,000 feet, it is also the tallest freestanding mountain in the world. Although Mount Kilimanjaro was once a volcano that erupted regularly, it has exhibited a dearth of activation for thousands of years. Now, which topic is this? This is basically register. So if you read the entire paragraph, you will see that it is written in a formal / semi-formal tone. And the entire paragraph is like written in normal language. This phrase does not go with the rest of the paragraph. Okay, that's the first thing that you need to identify. Now, the second thing that you need to identify is, now what do we have to do over here? What's the structure? What's the meaning of the sentence? And the clue that we are getting over here is this word, very important. Now, how is this a clue? Let's have a look. Although Mount Kilimanjaro was once a volcano that erupted regularly, just stop over here. It means that once it was a volcano that erupted regularly, but now that's not the case. So we need a word or a phrase that represents the opposite of this, that it was a volcano that once erupted regularly, but now it doesn't happen that often. So you see, this word is basically telling us the relationship. Now let's have a look at the option choices. And as I said, A is too wordy. It doesn't go with the rest of the paragraph. Stayed kind of quiet. Again, it's a funny choice, but again, it doesn't go with the rest of the paragraph. This is like very casual. This is like literally slang language that's been used. So B is wrong. Been pretty cool. Again, it's not like we're talking to our friends. So again, this is wrong as well. Although these option choices, see, they do make sense, but you need to understand that they do not go with the rest of the paragraph, the language that's used in the paragraph. Lain dormant. It has lain dormant for thousands of years. This phrase is used for volcanoes. So if you are an avid reader, you will immediately identify that this is our option choice. This is our answer. Let's try another example. Just a few decades from now, the days of sitting in a standard forward-facing seat may be air travel history. As the health of the air travel industry has improved, airlines have shifted their focus at the flying experience. Now, immediately identify the topic. This is an idiomatic expression. You see, idiomatic expression. Now, this is where your reading basically comes in. So you need to identify which preposition goes with this expression. And also another hint, whenever you see a preposition underlined, you should be careful that it can be an idiomatic expression. So with this, we have to see airlines have shifted their focus to the flying experience. It's not at the flying experience. That's wrong. Hence, the answer should be option choice D. And as I've discussed in my video as well, that these are some expressions that you need to memorize, that you need to identify yourself. There's no specific rule that you can apply over here. Next question. A recent wave of aircraft deliveries has spurred demand for seals, and manufacturers around the world are working overtime in order to keep up. Now, this is basically diction, words in context. So the word over here is should have a meaning that should represent growth, that should represent increase in demand. So that's what the sentence is basically telling us. Now let's have a look at the option choices. If let's say you don't know the meaning of spurt, keep it there. It's fine. Exploded demand. You see, this is wrong. It is basically registered. It doesn't go with the rest of the paragraph. The demand doesn't explode. Writers don't use such words. Excited demand. Have you ever seen this phrase, excited demand? No, it is wrong. Demand is like, this word doesn't go with demand. So this is wrong as well. Now you're left with two option choices. One is goaded and one is spurred. Let's say you don't know the meaning of both these words. What do you do? In this scenario, you need to understand like which word has a positive connotation, which word has a negative connotation. This is where you need to have somewhat knowledge of the English language. Now, if I say that I don't know the meaning of goaded, but I know that it has a negative connotation, but the word that we need over here needs to have a positive connotation. If we are talking about growth, we are talking about development. And spurred, the meaning of spurred is basically development, growth. So A is our correct answer. By the way, goaded means to incite or provoke someone. So definitely it has a negative connotation. That's why B is wrong. Let's move on. All this business has led to a frenzy of innovation not seen in the sky since the jet set era of the 1960s. While airlines seek impressing passengers with futuristic amenities, design teams are hard at work problem solving for the needs of travelers in the years to come. So this is basically a gerund. And you see, we don't need a gerund over here. It doesn't fit in. So we have already learned about this, gerund to infinitives and vice versa. So how do you convert a gerund into an infinitive? By adding a preposition that is to. And you convert an infinitive to a gerund by adding the preposition in. So over here, it should be while airlines seek to impress passengers. Now that is something that goes with the rest of the paragraph as well. That is option choice B. So see, you need to rely on yourself. I do not look at the option choices first. You need to understand the topic, apply the rules, and then look at the option choices. Trust me, you will be able to manage.